Hey there, Mr. Terry, high school history teacher. Welcome back to another History Teacher X video. All right, I was really in need of like a palate cleansing type video after covering, so many of the awful conflicts that are going on right now. So we're back with the channel you guys have been really liking. I've really been enjoying. That's Casual Geographic, and his latest video is called How This Became the Most Disrespected Animal of 2026. I have no idea what it is, but I don't want anyone to be disrespected. By the way, we were right in the midst and right in the middle of the historical March Madness tournament that I host every year. Basically, we put historical figures up against each other in a tournament where you vote to decide who goes on. And this year, we're really doing a team type thing because we've got greatest empires and civilizations in history going up against each other. Doesn't require anything to vote, but the links are going to be down below. Love to see you join. Down there, of course, you're going to see this original video too. Let's get going. All right, is it this thing that's disrespected? What is this? It's like a beaver capybara hybrid. Okay, let's see what we got.
Just some BS with fur. Default mammal. Bro is just a temple thing.
Default mammal.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just a random effing thing. Login reward. This might be the worst one. Login reward. The internet decided to have a cultural camp.
That's actually awesome. Just the first thing you get just for like turning the game on. That's great.
Campfire. But instead of roasting marshmallows, Nature's Untitled Project got flamed with every way to say they're easy to draw. Straight bullying of the test. You got folks saying we never officially discovered this mammal until someone went into a pet store and asked for an animal. John.
It really is just like, what is this thing called? It's just animal. It looks like all the things I see in like evolutionary charts from like millions of years ago. And it's like, this was the common descendant of man or, the dinosaurs or something.
Mammal, they're calling him. They're slandering the life animal until someone went into a pet store and asked for an animal. John Mammal, they're calling him. They're slandering the life out of my guy. I gotta say something. Especially with his big homie on my chest. This potato vampire is a hyrax, and they did not evolve for 50 million years just to get called a furry template. Bro is literally in the Bible. Especially when the imitation bunny's closest relatives
look like it's
are elephants,
ancient,
which everyone loves, and manatees, which laws had
the descendant of everything.
The same animal folks are calling the first interaction in a tutorial is cousins with the most iconic animal on Earth. But it's
the elephant. Is that an elephant in the background? That's really scary.
It's not like there aren't signs. Hyraxes have the same tusks for fighting and female validation, although the bar for impressive is lower than their balls are.
I forgot what comment I was going to make, but that was fantastic. He hits so hard with just like the puns. He looks like, it's hard to, again, it's just animal, but it makes him look doofy looking with the two, like these things.
Have the same tusks for fighting and female validation, although the bar for impressive is lower than their balls are, because having an internal coin purse is another thing they have in common. To be fair, Hyraxes have a lot in common with a lot of animals. Let's count them out. If convergent eats two roads, that boy's a roundabout. Done stole so many animals, Flo. If this were a Pokemon, he'd be Plagiario. They took the elephant's tusk and toes. They have a jaw you'd expect on a rhinoceros. A pica plus build with marmot for measure, but only one reps the rodent varsity sweater. It's a miscellaneous mammal nature uploaded at the last moment. They're such trash thermoregulators, they're more reptile than rodent. As a partially cold-blooded concept, most of the Hyrax's energy comes from charging in the sun.
Where are these?
The same pastime as the Viscacha, but they're less efficient than the Sensei gerbil. Where Viscachas may spend a quarter of their time sunbathing, this sentient 1159 project submission has about 5% of its life when it's not just sitting idly. Hyraxes inherited the koala problem, but at least koalas have the excuse of poor diet. Nature greenlit the mammal version of batteries sold separately. They didn't ask for any of this, yet the internet has been cooking them like they come with XP, when obviously this organism dies and offers zero, which isn't just outrageous slander for an animal name dropped in the holy book and whose poop has been used in perfumes. It just shows you how fast the internet will turn on you. Seems like just yesterday.
It's crazy what stuff people use to not smell. So disgusting. I mean, just think, especially before modern cleanliness, just how gross people were. And even though they were used to it, they still went to all these efforts to mask their own grossness. It's like, how bad were people smelling when they're like, an upgrade is smearing poop on yourself?
People were hyping up the Hyrax, making them viral every time they made a sound, just to today act like they haven't been around. There's so much more that meets the eye.
Like every time I'll see an angle and I'm like, they're really cute, but then I'll see something where I'm like, no, ew.
organism of all time. Like the fact this template has 6 different types. You got the rock hyrax, the most common and iconic of the Hyraxes. Although being the most iconic of an animal called a placeholder is like winning
where do they live?
Homeschool. Just know that if you see a desi on your feed, it's probably a rock hyrax. And these Rockies
I don't want to give them belly rubs.
VIP member of the Brocavia hyrax genus.
I've never heard of this.
But only because they're the only living member of it. There's 3 hyrax genuses, and Hyrax is home to the bush hyrax. You're forgiven if you can't tell them apart. Nature's Xerox.
Shout out to the Mario 64 Snowy Mountain level. Tall Mountain? Wait, no. Ah, crap. What's this one called? Gotta save the penguin baby. The real one, not the fake one.
And Hyrax is home to the bush hyrax. You're forgiven if you can't tell them apart. Nature's Xerox to Xerox. It's not your fault. The bush hyrax looks like it tried to implement the same mask method to farm empathy. But like everything else, it was a poor imitation. They're smaller than rock hyraxes, but again, no hard feelings if you can't differentiate. The chances I mixed up the pictures in this section are lower than the chances someone's gonna care enough to notice. But the bush hyrax's defining trait is that their distress stem basically define the entire species.
I said look at me. You're becoming famous on the internet because of me, so try and show me appreciation. Okay.
Yeah, that's the Awawa, and he's telling you to make like Michael Jackson and beat it. And the third genus is Dendrohyrax, which actually has 4 species: the southern, eastern, western, and the Benin tree hyrax. Same ideas, different font. The western
Benin,
looks like
so they're from Africa?
And chances are it was his reflection. It's the only hyrax that looks like it has to be held back, because he didn't.
No, ew, no.
Decided he'd rather look like a boar than be one.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Hyrax
It's like
looks like the shiny
crappier
Pokemon
boar.
of the bunch, and they're a regular part of the diets of leopards, eagles, and pythons.
I bet.
They're just the part that says etc.
They are
Southern tree
perfect
hyrax is
snacks
interesting,
for the
that it'll
African
rapidly bounce
wilderness.
on the ground to travel when excited, which is what you're looking at right now, so long as someone cared enough to record it. Now they say their status is of least concern, but I'd say their blood-curdling night screams are mildly concerning. Speaking of scream,
I feel like you're doing that. You're just like telling predators where you are.
last member is the Benin tree hyrax, and I say that because they were discovered.
Is it
in
Benin, like Benin, Africa?
It was because of their scream. You see, scientists who weren't even checking for them, they were looking for bush babies. That's a bush baby, but heard enough of this weird barking sound that they eventually isolated and studied it, and these sounds were so
This lady, she is the leading hyrax researcher in history. She's like the mother. She's like the Jane Goodall of the hyrax.
distinctive, they realized it came from an entirely different species. Mind you, they clocked these calls back in 2009, but the Benin wasn't identified until over a decade later. Imagine screaming for attention for years only to be discovered by accident by people looking for someone else. And apparently, Benin skulls were already in scientists' possession, but they never noticed because, in their words, they just assumed they were all the same. Best believe Hyraxes wouldn't be getting this level of disrespect back in the day, because Titano-Hyrax Ultimus would have been big enough to mog a rhino.
It's like a hippo, like, no, I don't like it. I don't like it.
But Hyrax Ultimus Prime died out and left us with a miscellaneous tater tot. And miscellaneous is the best way to describe the family.
This looks like it'd be like Gibraltar. Is that what it is? Is it by the monkeys in Gibraltar?
Hyraxes are part of the afrotheria reunion, and you couldn't pick out a more random assortment of characters on a 3 a.m. gas station line. You obviously have the hyrax and the elephant, along with a group certain people confuse for mermaids, the manatee and dugong.
Who's confusing those for mermaids? This is like this is what a mermaid turns into if they like don't find their true love and like they go back to their non-mermaid form. They go back to that, the manatee.
Or just the sea cows. But you also have my 4th grade fixation, the aardvark, the elephant shrew, which is actually more elephant than shrew. In fact, not even a true shrew.
Like
the golden mole, which isn't a true mole. In fact, underground and undercover makes it more of a mole. The otter shrew, which is nary a true shrew, but what else is new? And the tenric, which is a hedgehog nature tried redrawing from memory.
Dude, it's like a hedgehog aardvark. No, the only mammals that use steridulation to make sounds, think of crickets and cicadas.
Now, the non-evolution folk might have an argument because how do you explain this sober? Well, I'ma try. You see, 2 things happened. One was the dinosaur stranglehold on the world was released when a mountain-sized meteoric plot device blew their smooth off the census.
That's where those little guys come to reign, and then they start to evolve into bigger forms. I was watching, have you watched that like dinosaur series that just came out on Netflix? That just seemed to be like just the cycle. Like everything gets huge, and then devastating event, either like a meteor or like crazy volcanic eruptions. All the big stuff dies. All the little things are now the things that survive. And then they get bigger and then reset with some other calamity just over and over until we get now. And then until our next our next calamity that destroys the earth. I don't know. That might be human made before it's some natural phenomenon.
In Space Jam terms, the Monstars took a crowbar to the knee and hedge trimmers to the Achilles, allowing the smaller mammalian Looney Tunes to really get on the board. But the other domino fell long before, with Africa separating from the supercontinent of Gondwana, completely isolated until she eventually crashed into Eurasia. I'm not 100% on the dates, but that's still tens of millions of years Africa spent as a massive island. And with an even bigger dinosaur-sized niche left behind, the mammals on it got to work. Think of Australia. You got a max security prison deer, an actual sloth bear, hijos de satanas, and many, many more, and they're all marsupials.
Dude, Australia's got the craziest stuff. I guess when, again, you're like cut off from so much of the land mass, you just evolve weird things like kangaroos, and he's all buff, and then whatever these other monsters are.
Those marsupials were all the Australian island had, and those niches were going to be filled somehow. But my favorite example is the fact that Madagascar
Dude, what are
had
those
no
trees,
apex
man?
predator. So a steroid mongoose took the spot. What you saw with marsupial mafia
Ew, I don't like that.
was adaptive radiation, where a single common ancestor diversified to occupy all the sudden vacancies. And afrotheria diversified into straight nonsense. Basically, it was the ganglet split up of evolution, and you can only imagine the reaction the Hyrax got at the reunion. I'm sure Titano Hyrax tried their best at the big man's game, but getting outcompeted by those that played the big boy build better had the remaining Hyraxes living in the woodworks like rodents.
Yeah, this is why the Hyrax always just reminded me of stuff I saw in Evolutionary, like, charts. It's like everything comes from, like, this animal right here.
But you'd expect an imitation rat to belong with the not a shrew, not a mole, and nature's left-handed hedgehog in clade Afro-insectophilia. But nah, the Hyrax got cast in a penungulata portion. Penungulata. Basically almost ungulates. Ungulates are the many animals that walk on hooves. Yes, that's a whale. The hippo must have gave him a guest pass. Having almost hooves means elephants and sea cows have toenails. So does a Hyrax. Not a hoof, but close.
It's so interesting to see some of those traits from when they were walking around on land and they just kind of get rid of them. Like they have, you know, whales have like little feet. But yeah, then like toenails. Like all those like vestigial traits, right? Stuff that you have linger in your body still, but like don't have function. Does it come from an ancient form where it probably had more function? Humans are full of that stuff too.
They also have the same tusks that were just pimped out incisors. But Hyraxes chew like they were raised by ruminants, chewing from side to side to grind it out like a giraffe.
Giraffes are aliens.
You might not have noticed because Hyraxes do it so fast.
How did that thing evolve like that?
When's the last time you looked a Hyrax in the mouth? Because you might have noticed they look like they have tiny rhino skulls augmented into their heads. So you see, the animal Twitter called just a random thing is actually the peak form for the life they live, from the size to the teeth to the toes. Speaking of toes, down boy, those beans have a purpose, and rubbery soles with a concave surface creates a suction cup that's a cheat code for gripping rocks. It's how Raxes can go.
It can actually like provide suction? That doesn't seem like it have the power to. Wow. So I guess it can kind of climb vertically, huh? That's cool.
With a concave surface creates a suction cup that's a cheat code for gripping rocks. It's how Hyraxes can go goat and climb vertical surfaces.
You a good jumper?
It's also how Hyraxes literally climb into our lives. Hyraxes have the habit of hitching rides where nature has not
hitching a ride. See, the big fat one is like, I'm not walking around with you guys. I'm gonna hitch a ride on the tortoise, man.
In addition to being capybara copyright infringement, it should be no surprise to see the animal someone called the Nepo hire of its family being hard carried by something else. But they've also started scoring free rides on something slightly faster than a tortoise. There's a genuine trend of South Africans finding their cars colonized by desis. Apparently the underside of a car is like a wet dream to a produce merchant, and people have accidentally Ubered this stowaway across South Africa. And like clockwork, they often don't get noticed until they start screaming, or the
to say that's maybe how they like infest other parts of the world, like other biomes, and ruin the whole like ecological balance just because they're hitching rides with cars.
Stowaway across South Africa. And like clockwork, they often don't get noticed until they start screaming, or the smell of their excess alerts you. One Hyrax spent 4 days as an undercarriage carry-on after joining a family's 2.5-hour trip from Cedarburg to Worcester. Another family came home from vacation to find 4 of them splunking in their car engine. And you can't just evict them when you find them, because desis are highly territorial, and getting spawned on enemy grounds will get them murked by the residents. According to the Cape of Good Hope SPCA, if you find a Hyrax up your chassis, you do not attempt to remove, or else they might show you what that tusk do. Best thing you can do is bait them out with like peanut butter or something and then trap them and wait for your local SPCA to come handle it. But even then, you probably don't want to take matters in your own hands. Not only because you have no way of knowing when or where the hyrax hopped on, there's a non-zero chance he doesn't just abandon your car and immediately head for the next one over, just transferring the problem to someone else.
That's fine.
Truly the best way to help a hyrax is to check your car for them before you head out. It's not much different from checking for stray cats under the hood during the cold times, which, if you're on the East Coast, is right now. Pray for me, I am so sick right now. So I wouldn't blame you for thinking hyraxes spawn into our lives out of nowhere.
I like how they get up there like that. It's not always by
accident. I swear I liked one video. One. And now I get videos of this hamster homunculi in people's houses. I had no idea they were so common as pets. Or legal. Legality aside, hyraxes are not as good a pets as you'd expect from a travel-sized
they form bonds with you?
Which is not at all. They're highly social and territorial. They'll hate your house and you'll hate what they do to it, especially with their bathroom habits, which I'm gonna get into. Just know you will not get that smell out. But humans weren't even the first primates to try to turn a hyrax to a house pet. Remember the hyrax jump scare that is the Western variety? Well, there's someone that thinks this weremole is cute. Chimpanzees have shown a strangely genuine curiosity in this hunk of fur. In 1995,
sounds like a perfect pet for like a chimp. You know, chimps are gross and whatever. They don't care what happens around their area, and they'll be like their pets, like their version of dogs.
Chimpanzees have shown a genuine curiosity in this hunk of fur. In 1995, researchers came across a group of chimps surrounding a hyrax that had fallen out of a tree, and other than one male slapping the ground as a display and another one poking it with a stick, they just watched it until they eventually lost interest and just left them alone. To be fair,
I'm also afraid. I just had an image of them just grabbing one of those hyrax and they're just like being jerks and just like smashing it against a rock. They ever do that?
Less than 5% of a chimp's diet is meat, but I've seen chimps do raccoons dirty for existing. They also hunt bush baby, but somehow a hyrax gets a pass. In 2016, scientists clocked a male chimp with a past tense hyrax, and I swear from the way they describe it, he was treating it like a doll, seemingly grooming it, even blowing on its hair, and no, he didn't even eat it in the end. But the weirdest case might have been in 2000, when a female chimp adopted one for a day. She carried it around, groomed it, and even spent the night in her nest with it, and spent a total of 15 hours cradling it. And while the hyrax was already dead, it wasn't by her effort. I know I'm not supposed to anthropomorphize, but again, I've seen these same apes do diagers grizzly.
What is that?
So you're gonna have to convince me Caesar and them don't find him cute. But again, you wouldn't really want a hyrax as a pet. One, because their social structures are way too complex. I was not kidding when I said leaving a stowaway on foreign turf is like putting a prison green light on them. In a wawa of up to 80 hyraxes, the highest rax is the territorial hymrax that lords over the females, their young, and any younger males not yet seen as a threat.
Alpha.
And it's usually this top male that's responsible for sentry duty, basically acting as a lifeguard while the others feed and blaring out an alarm call if he sees a threat like an eagle, which gets all the hyraxes to hightail it.
I find the social hierarchy of animals to like be fascinating. What was like another Netflix one series was like Chimp Nation or something like that, and it went into so much detail about the hierarchy and how that works, and you know, but the submissive ones and then like the alphas and how much we actually know about it. It's such a fascinating part of like biology and evolution to me.
Not only is it uber effective against predators, it's the same way meerkats matter. But when you look like a hodgepodge of other animals' homework, you get no show on how hyraxes happen. I'd watch it because the drama would go crazy. Those tusks are for more than just attracting mates. You wouldn't know it, but these hyraxes are fighting for their lives, and those teeths can tear each other apart and more than barely inconvenience you. Running fades is such a risk that hyraxes have ways to avoid conflict.
His eyeball.
The main one is by breaking into song. I'm not even kidding. The same way gorillas beat their chests to advertise size and avoid fights, male hyraxes do by singing, and studies have proven that they'll increase their audible output when there's more stranger neighbor raxes around.
That's
which
number one
strangers
record.
Respond to. It's their version of a diss track, and they take the craft seriously.
He's dropping bars.
It's proven that hyraxes that sing the most and maintain the best rhythm go on to father the most successful offspring.
That's always another thing too. I find that's interesting is like the things that are like sexy for different species. You know, I learned about that. I took literally a class, an archaeology or a paleontology class in college, and there's a big dinosaur department in there was in my college, and yeah, learning about all these things that only had a function because it was just for whatever reason just seen as like sexually appealing to the opposite sex. It could be for like the stegosaurus, like the big plates on the back. didn't serve all that much of a purpose, but they could be seen as like attractive to the women. And then they're going to have, you know, offspring and then carry on those traits. And then all like the funny dances you'll see that like the birds have to kind of like attract women. But then you've got, like singing voices. So interesting to see the variety of those across the animal kingdom.
I love the internet because there's no other way I'd know this, but it's why male hyraxes sing all year around, and unlike most other animals, they sing as a solo. But they also sing unlike almost any other mammal. Hyraxes sing with syntax, and in casual terms, it means the sounds they sing and the order they sing them in aren't random. They're actually specifically structured, with each note perfectly sequenced like lyrics. That's something you normally see with birds, and other than whales, bats, and some primates, the hyrax is the only mammal found to do this. Which means it's not a stretch to say they have way more complex a language than anyone ever gave them credit for.
That's cool.
Especially since hyrax hymns can go on for minutes, and songs even have specific regional dialects.
You know what else is nuts is like, when we hear about all these intricate details about animals, like how many people there are that just devote their lives to like specific ones. Like, is there like all the work and research you'd have to do and like tracking these animals in the wild to like try to figure out and create these hypotheses? That's such an amazing thing. Like, how do you get into that and like fixate? My research, my PhD is, it's on the singing of the hyrax.
An effing thing. I think not, especially since they have a social network we've never seen in another animal, but in humans. Studies show that hyraxes subscribe to the friend of my friend is my friend rule, and they'll spread these social ties in a way that creates overall social balance.
They got boys, man. They got crew.
Egalitarians live longer and better. It's actually the hyrax that was the first non-human animal to be seen with this kind of social structural balance. Yeah, the Awawa did that. Like, they'll use the friend of a friend concept to create calculated trios, and it's proven that hyrax groups that do this on a large scale are way more chill and see way less aggression. It's also why I said airdropping one into a new
makes sense, because like you obviously have a trait that other animals want to be around. You're not like a jerk, right? The jerk animals, they're the ones who get shunned from the group, and then they die out because they can't survive. And if you're a social species, you got to have the characteristics to be able to coexist with people.
Assisted census subtraction, because newcomers immediately invite instability. Although complex social order makes a lot of sense, because hyraxes have a lot going for them. Keeping themselves warm enough to stay alive ain't one of them. Nature kind of screwed them there, so they spend 95% of their time either resting or basking. They're damn near solar powered. They'll also use the Tetris method to stay warm, and when you need cuddle time to survive, it's best to know who your friends are. So yeah, there's a lot more to the hyrax than being the elephant's understudy. They got their fingerprints in history. Well, not their fingers. Animals dragging ass sets on the ground is nothing new. But recently, the first known fossil of one butt scooting was uncovered from over 120,000 years ago.
We got butt scooting fossils? Oh my gosh, how did we eliminate all the variables to know that was like it? Is there like a ancient poop streak along with it?
Autograph belonged to, their butts tell us a lot more about the past, and it is because of their bathroom habits. See, I told you we were going to get to that.
What's going on with this?
Hyraxes all produce in the same place, in these latrines called middens, and while it's another reason why you wouldn't want one in your house, they've actually graffitied entire cliffs with their calcium carbonate pee, because they pee in one spot and they pee a whole lot. But generations of dropping deuces in the same spot means middens are stockpiled with hyraceum, their dried excess.
Oh, that's a really smart thing. Like, animals that do that, you keep it in one area and you feel more protected there. You do it somewhere, safe, and you don't want to expose yourself that way. Interesting.
And this hyraceum is like the less aesthetic version of amber. But the substance with a race in its name does the exact opposite to history. Studying the poop piles can tell you a lot about the past by preserving time in a way built to last. With some of these middens going back 70,000 years.
Whoa,
Hyraxes craft time
poop
capsules and fix your face, because that's not the only use we get out of it.
Is he going in the toilet?
Hyrax poop has been traditionally used as perfume. It's not super common today, but I'd love for someone to comment and tell me what it smells like. That same hyraceum
is there been a poop known to existence that has a good smell? Or again, was it like I was saying earlier, it actually just shows us how stinky people were, that this would be an upgrade?
Traditional medicines to treat issues like epilepsy. Are you now seeing how lousy the internet's doing this animal? They are so much more than a filler character on Noah's Ark. You don't even have to care about them. If you care about the Arabian leopard, one of the closest to being discontinued cats, then you should probably know that a big part of their diet is the rax. A feel bad for them. Being this weird,
they'll just look like a snack for big carnivores.
The balls. Good thing theirs are on the inside. And that's gonna do it for this video. Drink water, hug your mother. Patreon plug, you probably heard that before. Book plug, you've definitely heard that before. Spread the Awawa word, and I'ma see y'all in the next one.
Final thoughts. All right, well, I got to learn about a lot about an animal I never knew existed. And that was really cool. And of course, just super funny how he talks about those animals. But that was great. That was very informative. All right, what do you guys think of this little guy here? Let me know down below. And again, while you're down there, go vote in Historical March Madness. I think you have a lot of fun. And then keep coming back. Bookmark that so you come back when the new rounds open up till we get that champion. All right, we'll see you next time.